Hello and welcome. Happy holidays to those who are celebrating. And in today's exciting episode, I am going to make an ugly sweater, but it's a Chanel jacket.
It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket.
I think the term ugly sweater is a little unfair. Most of them are adorable. Okay, the matching headbands are a bit much, I admit that. But I love these vintage sweaters with like the patterns knitted into them. I cannot knit. Like I tried once and it's not my thing. I would much rather sort of work with tweed or so. I love this one. Isn't it pretty? And yeah, you can see why I bought this one. It's lovely. It's nice and simple. This one, I have to make a Chanel jacket with a hood. I just think that would be hilarious, especially if it was beaded. Anyway, so that is why I bought this fabric, because I love ugly sweaters, or what are called ugly sweaters, those vintage ones, but I've never actually had one. So I also had this fabric, but because I didn't have enough, I had to do it on the vertical. This one I am determined to do with horizontal. So I laid out my structural layer because it's a tweed, and I love tweeds. I love them dearly, but they are saggy and baggy, and you need to have something to stand them up against to give them structural integrity. So I've got all the bits cut out in netting. It's stiff netting, so just go to Joann's or any big fabric store in the novelty section or the costume, cosplay, dance section, and tell the staff that you want the netting that you make the 1950s petticoat out of, and they'll give you the stiff one. So the left front, right front, and the three pieces of the back together. So I've got my shell, and I'm going to pin them to the fabric. And I tried pinning them, and it just was not working because I only bought a yard of that fabric. So I put it aside and I made the gold metallic one, the gold Egyptian one, because I knew how I was going to work with that tweed. And I just had a certain amount of time, and I didn't have time to sort of do that whole Tetris pattern matching thing. And then I made a dress, because I'm going dress, jacket at the moment with the episodes. So now it's time to get back to this fabric, and I am absolutely determined to make it work. So it took me a little bit longer, but because I just made a dress, I had a little bit more time. So I've cut out the pieces. There was a lot of frustration, but I eventually got them cut out. So I did the back piece, and then they're slightly wrong. Once I've made the torso, I'll show you it from the front, from the back, and the side, and you'll see that the pattern matching isn't right, but I had 1 yard of fabric and I had to get every single piece out of it. So I got as near as I could, and it's good, but it's not perfect. I just need to buy more fabric. Honestly, I am the most stubborn person. But anyway, so I did my usual. If you've seen any of my other videos, I pinned it into place, and then I hand stitched them, the backing fabric and the tweed together. So I've done that here. And this time I'm trying something a little different. On the front panels, I'm putting in the front lining panel as well. As you can see, the front lining panel is vertical rather than horizontal because I just ran out of fabric and that's all that would fit. So I machine sewed the front pieces and the front lining together. Then I pinned back the seam allowance, and then I hand stitched them down. Just the little bit wider seam allowance that I have at the front center, it just makes the collar stand, it's not a collar, the neckline stand more stiffly. It sort of flops if it doesn't have enough structure. That's why the seam is a little bit bigger there. And so now that it's ready the front pieces are ready, I put down the back piece, and I'm going to pin the front pieces just at the shoulders here. So I'm just going to machine sew the two fronts to the back just at the shoulders, and once I've done that I'll be able to reinforce the shoulders. So I'm not pinning or sewing the sides at the moment because I need to splay the whole torso in order to reinforce the shoulders. So I've machine sewed just the shoulders, and now what I have to do is open it out and lay it flat. This is why I didn't sew the sides up. And I pinned the seam allowance back, and then I hand stitch it. And once that's done, then it's time to reinforce the whole shoulders, or the whole top third of the jacket really. And I'm not sure if you can tell, but it's a slightly paler pink. But anyway, so I put that down and I hand stitched it in. And once I hand stitched the reinforcing of the shoulders, then I pinned the sides and machine sewed them. And I forgot to show you, I hand stitched the seam allowance down on the sides. So basically the torso is a whole jacket now, or the bodice, it's whole jacket. The last thing to do on here is the neckline. So I just machine sewed a line where the neckline is supposed to be, and then I clipped the curves, and then I pinned it back into place, and then I hand stitch two lines. I go around it twice and I hand stitched all that into place. And there we go. You can't really see my stitches, but they're definitely there. I mean, everything's staying in its place, of course, that's stitched into place. So here we go. The whole of the torso is the jacket is done. Now I'm just going to show it to you. The pattern matching from the front looks absolutely perfect, but I'll show you the side in a minute and you'll see what I mean about not having enough fabric and I couldn't get them to the exact right. So I mean, yeah, the pattern matching is amazing. If you use that shell method where you sew the front center and the front side together, and then you sew the three back pieces together, and you use those shell pieces to drape the tweed over. But yeah, as I said, the side, they're not matched exactly. Once I put the sleeves on, you can't really tell because they do pattern match then, but yeah, without the sleeves on. I mean, I made a complete jacket out of 1 yard of fabric. That is just phenomenal given how difficult this pattern was to match. But yeah, I need to buy more fabric. I mean, I bought some of these tweeds are like 5 years old, even more. Anyway, so after I did the vest part or the bodice, then I did the sleeves. I'd already cut out the sleeves. The undersleeve, I was able to do the upper sleeve, so the big bit of the sleeve, the correct way, so horizontal, but the undersleeve had to be vertical. That was all the fabric. I just had this square of fabric that wasn't tall enough to use that way. So yeah, I had to do the undersleeves and the inside of the front lining pieces in vertical. But I've seen the finished jacket and it doesn't look that bad. So now it is time to set the sleeves. There's a notch in the center, then 2 notches about a third on the top third. And yeah, I just put pins in the center top, center bottom, and on either side of that top third. And then I pin the bottom 2/3 first because they're just straight matching. And then the top third is the difficult bit because the sleeve has more bulk so you sort of have to ease it in. Oh yeah, I know exactly how I want to bead this because when it was just fabric, I could never decide how I was going. So I obviously pinned the sleeves into place or set the sleeves. And now it is time to machine sew them. Because I'm going to do heavy beading, I've got 2 layers of the structural layer. So luckily I've got a really, really sturdy vintage sewing machine, but it is difficult to machine sew sleeves in at the best of times. but when you've got so much structural layer, it is very tricky. Anyway, so I have set the sleeves and they're not too bad. They're both the same, which is kind of all you can ask for. Anyway, once you machine sew the sleeves, then you clip the curves or the bit under the arm, and then you push the seam allowance up into the sleeves and you pin it there, and then you hand stitch the seam allowance into place. I hand stitch it twice, once holding the jacket and just doing it from the outside, and then once that's done I turn it inside and I do it from the inside again. And a lot of people say they have problems with their sleeves falling off or coming undone. I never have that problem, so I think it's really worthwhile to take the time to hand stitch the seam allowance up into the sleeve. And here we go. I cannot believe how much I love this. It really annoyed me when I was cutting out the pieces and trying to place them and get them out of the 1 yard of fabric. I just so completely fell out of love with this jacket. But now that it's made, I love it. And I could never, when it was just fabric, I could never decide how to bead it. Should I go with the Kelly green or should I go with the magenta? But I'm going to do both, because I've been working on the Egyptian gold one, and yeah, I love the way that I'm beading that, and I'm kind of doing the same thing. Oh, and the undersleeves, I think I'm just going to go with the lines on that one as well. So the beading on this one, this is what it looks like now that the sleeves are on, and you can't really tell the mismatch between the front portions and the back portions. Like if you lift up the arm, you can tell. But when the sleeve is down, you can't really see it because of the angle that sleeves go at. I'm really, really happy with it. And it kind of does look like a vintage knit. It's amazing, but it's an actual tweed. It's so cool. So yeah, I'm going to use Kelly green and magenta, but also see the beige lines. They're actually pale pink and beige. So I've got these pale pink glass beads, and I think I'm going to use them in the beigey pink sections. And I'm just going to bead horizontally. So yeah, because this one I've been beading it horizontally, gold Egyptian tweed. And yeah, it's really hard work and it's quite difficult to do. But now that I've kind of got into the swing of it and I understand how it works, because I'm just concerned about how the jacket will age. So yeah, but I think I'm doing it in a way that it will, gravity will be counterbalanced by the safe way that I'm beading it. So yeah, and I'm going to do the same thing with the ugly sweater one. I don't like calling it an ugly sweater because it's just so pretty, and it's going to be even more pretty once I've done the beading, hopefully. Anyway, maybe it will become ugly once I've done the beading, because it's going to have Kelly green and magenta on there and pale pink and maybe some beige. So it's going to be a very difficult mix, but hopefully it'll look good. And this one, oh my gosh, I actually waited a little bit too late in the day to photograph this. Next time I film this, I'll be sure to do it in the sort of late morning or early afternoon when the sun is, when it just gets the best natural light. Because, yeah, you can't see how amber the glass beads are. They sort of look brown. There are a few brown ones in there, but you can't see that beautiful warm honey tone of the amber coloured glass beads. And it's such a shame because it's so rich and it's got that molasses quality of, when you see a really honey coloured bead, it just, and because, yeah, a lot of the preserved remains that they've found of ancient Egyptian, in the ruins, have been preserved in honey. And I don't know. I just love everything about this tweed. And anyway, so it's it's taken me forever. And then, yeah, I can't wait to bead this one. I can't remember where I put some of the beads. I know where some of the magenta ones and I know where some of the Kelly green ones are. But the other Kelly green, I've got these vintage flowers in Kelly green and I put them somewhere safe. I know I did, but I can't remember where that is. So, yeah, and I just think that would be so cute if I sort of alternated between beads and these tiny little green, Kelly green vintage sequins. They would be, it sounds awful, doesn't it? But it's going to look so cute. Anyway, so yeah, I'll show you more of the Egyptian gold tweed, the beading of that once it's done. But I just thought I'd show you a little glimpse of it because I am so in love with it. It's just taking such a long time, but I love it. It is so pretty. There's some rows like there's a row that's got butterflies in it, and then there's other rows that are, you know, specific things. There's a row with bits of seashells in there, and it's just so I might have filmed that before I did the seashell bit anyway. But yeah, and oh, I also have these big green bows. They're like Minnie Mouse big, but I don't know, I think they're a bit too cartoonish. I like the idea of leaning, and I also have these sequins in these two different greens and magenta. But I don't know, I think they're the wrong genre. I really want this jacket to be very vintage knit rather than just a modern day or contemporary ugly sweater. So yeah, I think I'll just use sort of medium and small beads in Kelly green and magenta, and also those gorgeous crystal cut glass beads in pale pink. They're just, yeah, they've got the tiniest blush of pale pink in them. They're going to be beautiful. These ones I think I'll use for something else. They're so bright and energetic, whereas the vintage one, I think it's, I don't know, I feel like it's more classic. But anyway, I'm going to go back and do more work on my gold. I am obsessed with this beading. It is just, it's so complex and time consuming, but in a really cool, fun way. I'm very dorky. And yeah, it's amazing. The sleeves are going to be a nightmare to do because I'm doing sequins work, and it's like little stacks of beads. You go sequin, bead, and yeah, it's really complicated, but I don't know, I like a challenge in the beading. Anyway, there we go. That is it for this video. I am so happy with the way this turns out. It looks like a vintage knit to me anyway. I don't own any vintage knits, but I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you're having a lovely holiday. But yeah, if you just need a break from people who are being horrible to you, remember that you don't have to be around people who don't respect you and don't appreciate you. And I know sometimes growing up you don't have a choice, but when you're an adult you do. So don't put up with people who can't respect you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed me making my ugly sweater Chanel jacket. I love this so much, and I just had to include these pictures again because they are hilarious. I love this one with the hood. Oh my goodness, it's so amazing. Yeah, so thanks again for watching. Thanks for watching all my Vlogmas videos. I'm going to keep posting daily for the rest of the month because I've got so much to finish before the end of the month. And yeah, so many jackets and dresses that I want to finish. But yeah, I really do appreciate all the views and comments and likes and everything. Thank you so much for your support during this month. It's been awesome, and yeah, it's been so difficult making a video, like making something each day and doing all the editing and doing posting, and yeah, it's just been lovely to have the support, and it's made me keep going and and not give up. So yeah, I've got so much done, but yeah, more to do. So I'm going to go do some more of this beading. It's my little reward for getting so many jackets done. Oh, I love this beading. I mean, it's terrific amounts of work and it's very, very difficult, but so incredibly rewarding. And once you've done it, like, you have it for the rest of your life. It's very cool. Beading is awesome. Happy sewing.